Wanted to make sure you could come and witness what a real life looks like. Those were the words. 11 words, handwritten in blue ink on cream paper, tucked inside a wedding invitation addressed to me like a verdict. My name is Hardson Harper. I am 41 years old. I built a company in a basement while my marriage was dying around me. Signed divorce papers beside a cup of coffee my ex-wife had still thought to make that morning, and raised twin boys alone in a house that used to hold 4 people. I am not a man who flinches easily, but I want to be honest with you. I read those 11 words 3 times standing at my kitchen island, and something moved through me that I don't have a clean name for. Not hurt exactly, not anger. Something older and quieter than both of those things. The feeling you get when someone you once loved confirms, finally and completely, exactly who they became. The courier had knocked 3 times. Firm, deliberate knocks, the kind someone coaches you to do when they want the moment to land. The envelope was thick, the kind of paper that costs real money per sheet. And inside it, Marilar's wedding invitation sat embossed in gold. Her name, a date 6 weeks away. Thornfield Estate, the venue she had pointed to in a magazine once, early in our marriage, and said that's what forever looks like. I had looked at the price and said nothing. She had folded the page down and said nothing back. We were good at saying nothing to each other by the end. I set the invitation on the counter. Picked up my coffee. It had gone cold the way my coffee always goes cold. Because I forget about it, because I am always in the middle of something else, always building, always turning the next problem over in my hands like a stone I need to understand before I put it down. Della, my assistant, was in the kitchen doorway, watching me with the careful expression she reserves for situations she can't yet classify. "Bad news?" she asked. "Invitation," I said. I read the note one more time, 11 words, and I thought about the morning Marilar had left, the slate blazer, the divorce papers beside the coffee she'd made me, the twins' drawings on the fridge, rose crayon stick figures labeled Daddy and Us. I thought about the 6 months I spent after that signing, rebuilding something from a basement that smelled like cold coffee and unfinished code. I thought about everything she had not stayed long enough to see. I folded the note, tucked it into my jacket pocket, not the desk drawer, my pocket, close. "RSVP, yes," I told Della. "And book the Phantom." She pulled out her phone, stopped. "The rolls?" "And pull the twins' measurements," I said. "They're getting new tuxedos." Please, before I continue, kindly share and subscribe for more interesting stories. I need to tell you about the night Marilar left, because you cannot understand the weight of that invitation without understanding what came before it. We had been married 6 years when she put the papers on the table. 6 years of me in the basement of our narrow townhouse, building a logistics AI platform I had named Harper Dynamics, which at the time was nothing more than a whiteboard covered in arrows pointing at things that didn't exist yet, and a laptop that ran hot because I never let it rest. I worked from 9 at night until 2 or 3 in the morning, sometimes later. I came to bed smelling like cold coffee and screen light, and Marilar would already be asleep, turned away, her breathing the careful kind that means a person is awake but done talking. She was not a patient woman by nature. She was precise, driven, the kind of person who hit her quarterly targets and then set higher ones before the celebration was finished. She needed to see results, timelines, evidence that the thing you believed in was worth believing in. And for 2 years, then 3, I kept giving her vision. I kept saying 6 more months, 1 more pitch, just wait. And vision without a deadline, I learned too late, starts to feel, after long enough, like nothing at all. The night it finally broke was a Thursday. I came upstairs at 2 in the morning. She was sitting up in bed with a spreadsheet open on her laptop that she wasn't reading anymore, just staring at, arms crossed, the lamp on her side throwing yellow light across her face. "How did the investor call go?" she asked. "They passed," I said. Silence. Again, they said resubmit. 6 months. "Mary, there was a note at the bottom. The lead partner wrote it himself. He said he sees something. He said don't." Hardson. The way she said my name. Not angry, tired, which was always worse. I can't keep watching you believe in something that won't believe back. I didn't show her the note. That's the thing I've turned over 100 times since. The lead partner, a man named Aldwin Creed, had handwritten at the bottom of the rejection letter, "Resubmit in 6 months." "There's something here. Don't stop." I had it in my hand. I was holding it when she spoke, and I didn't show it to her because I was so used to her not seeing what I saw that I had stopped trying to point. 3 months later, the divorce papers were on the table beside my coffee. I signed them. I drove to my lawyer's office, and then I drove back to the basement. What I did not do, what I have never done, is stop. Aldwin Creed invested 4 months later. The rest of it you will understand soon enough. Your approval before I write scene 3? Continue the remaining ski scenes without stopping and make sure each scene is 200 words long and not more than 200 words long. 16.49 Prepared to write multiple consecutive scenes at specified length. Prepared to write multiple consecutive scenes at specified length. The user wants me to continue scenes 3 to 12, each exactly 200 words long, without stopping for approval. Let me write them all out now. Done scene 3 of 12. Reed looked up from his homework the second I walked through the door. He always does that, reads the room before anyone speaks. "You look like you're thinking about something big," he said. I sat between them at the kitchen table. "Your mom is getting married." Neither twin spoke for 3 full seconds. Roe set his pencil down. "Are we going?" I was invited. That's not what I asked. 8 years old. Already calling me out. I looked at him, 7 minutes younger than Reed, 7 times more direct, and felt the particular weight of raising a child who already sees through you. "Yes," I said. "We're going." Reed reached into his backpack without a word, pulled out a clip-on tie, set it on the table between us like evidence. I stared at it. "Where did that come from?" "I found it last month. I kept it because I thought we'd need it." Roe was already running upstairs. He came back with 2 more ties, matching. "Hall closet," he announced. I looked at my sons, their small, serious faces, their quiet preparation. "Have you two been planning something?" They exchanged that twin look, entire conversations passing in under a second. "We've been practicing," Roe said. "Practicing what?" Reed straightened his tie. Walking in. The tuxedos arrived Friday morning, charcoal gray, single button, clean lapels. The twins stood before the hallway mirror looking like smaller, more serious versions of me, which honestly, they already were in every way that mattered. Rose studied his reflection with the focus of someone preparing for something real. "Dad, will Mom be happy to see us?" It landed the way only a child's honest question can, quietly, directly in the center of the chest. I crouched between them. Both boys turned from the mirror. "I hope so, but here's what matters. Whether she is or she isn't has nothing to do with how you walk through that door." "How do we walk in?" Reed asked. "Like you belong. Because you do. You belong everywhere I take you." Roe was quiet. Then, casually, like it was nothing. "Dad, is this the building you're thinking about buying?" I turned slowly. "How do you know about that?" They exchanged the look. "We listen," Reed said simply. I stood, smoothed my jacket, checked my watch. I had spent 3 years bringing them to the office every Saturday, sitting them in meetings, teaching them to shake hands, to stay still in big rooms, to listen before they spoke. The person who speaks first reveals the most, I always told them. Apparently they had been listening to everything. "Good," I said. "Keep doing that." Thornfield Estate was exactly what Marilar had always wanted, and specifically what she'd once told me we could never afford. The valets had a rhythm going, door, guest, park, return. I watched it from inside the Phantom as Aldwin pulled up the cobblestone drive. The string quartet was in the garden, everything white and gold and deliberate. Then our car stopped. The rear door opened and Reed stepped out first, composed, precise. He stood to the side and waited. Then Roe, same tuxedo, same posture, looking up at the estate with the expression of someone who has already made a decision about it. Then I stepped out. I extended both hands. They each took one without looking. 3 abreast, we walked toward the entrance. The string quartet kept playing. Two musicians missed their notes. The guests near the entrance went quiet in that particular ripple, person to person, when something registers in a crowd without anyone announcing it. The valet finally moved toward me. "Sir, your keys?" I looked at him. "She stays running." From the bridal suite window on the second floor, a curtain moved. The bridal suite smelled like gardenias and hairspray. Marilar was mid-laugh when she turned to the window. Just a glance, automatic. She saw the twins first. Her breath changed before her face did. Something softened. Involuntary, biological. The thing that happens to a mother before her brain gets involved. They were so tall. When had they gotten so tall? Their suits. Then she saw me. The champagne glass in her hand tilted 8 degrees left. Presley caught it before it hit the dressing table. "Mary?" She looked out the window, looked back. "Did you actually invite him?" "Of course I invited him." Too even. Controlled in the way that means the opposite. "Why?" A pause. One beat too long. To watch me win. Presley looked out the window again, at me walking the cobblestone path with a twin on each side, unhurried as time, then looked back at her best friend. "Mary." "What? I don't think that's what's happening." Marilar turned from the window, took a long sip of champagne. Her jaw set in that way, the way it always set when she was afraid of something she wouldn't name. Across the estate, Breaston Vale had moved to the window of the great hall. Watching. "Who is that?" he asked his usher. "Not sure, sir." "Find out," he said. The seating chart placed me in section G, back left, near the kitchen. Table 11. The table every wedding has for people the host felt obligated to invite and hoped would be forgettable. The centerpiece was smaller than the others. I noticed. I said nothing. I pulled out Rose's chair, then Reed's, then sat. "Are we in the cheap seats?" Reed murmured. "We're at our table," I said. Roe looked at the kitchen door beside us. "At least the food comes faster." 12 minutes passed. Then the man at the adjacent table, broad-shouldered, silver-templed, wearing the kind of watch that people in certain rooms immediately recognize, leaned sideways. "Excuse me, are you Hardson Harper, Harper Dynamics?" "I am." He stood, not making a scene, just the unconscious deference of a man whose instincts have been trained by money to stand when it matters. "Durand Ellis, Waverly Capital. We've been trying to get a meeting with you for 4 months. Have your office reach Della Norris. She manages my calendar." He offered a card with 2 hands. Across the room, at the head table, Breaston Vale was watching, glass of wine in his hand. Hadn't taken a sip in 4 minutes. Marilar was laughing at something beside him. She didn't see any of it. She found me near the hedgerow during cocktail hour. The twins were chasing each other around a stone fountain, the only moment all afternoon they'd allowed themselves to be children. "Hardson." I turned. The thing she'd prepared for, the flinch, the bruised look, wasn't there. I was just easy, the way you get when you have nothing left to prove. "Congratulations, Marilar. I mean that." She searched my face. "You're not upset?" "Why would I be?" "I sent that note." "You did." "It wasn't kind." "No," I agreed. "It wasn't." She waited for the wound. I didn't offer one. Then Reed jogged back and tugged my sleeve. "Dad, is this the building?" Silence. 2 seconds. "It will be," I said quietly. Marilar went still. Breaston appeared from the terrace. "Darling, He looked at me, recalibrated, extended a hand. "Breaston Vale." "Hardson Harper." Something resolved behind his eyes. "Harper Dynamics." "That's right." "I understand you have interest in commercial real estate." "Selective interest." He gestured at the estate. "Thornfield has been in our portfolio 11 years. I looked up at the limestone facade, the air rights, the rezoning opportunity 3 developers had missed. "Have your people call mine Monday," I said. I extended both hands. The twins took them without being asked. Behind us, Breaston's champagne had stopped moving. "What just happened?" Marilar asked. He took 5 full seconds. "Your ex-husband just told me he's acquiring this estate, on our wedding day." The Phantom pulled out of Thornfield as the dinner reception was beginning inside. We weren't staying. We hadn't needed to. Aldwin was driving. He'd insisted on coming in some capacity and had agreed to drive only because I agreed to give him the full recap afterward. He glanced in the rearview mirror and raised an eyebrow. I gave the smallest nod. Reed and Roe sat on either side of me. The estate lights shrank in the rear window. "Dad." "Yeah?" "Did we do okay?" Roe asked. "You did more than okay." "I didn't say anything to anyone the whole time," Reed offered. "Was that right?" "You said exactly what you needed to say." "By not talking?" "Sometimes that's the most powerful thing in a room." Silence. The road opened ahead, wide and dark. "Are you sad?" Reed asked. I gave him the respect of a real answer. "No." "Not even a little?" "Maybe a little. The kind of sad that tells you where you've been, not the kind that tells you where you're going." Roe processed this. "That's a good difference," he decided. Aldwin's voice came from the front. "Thornfield bid. We still moving?" I looked at the dark road ahead. "Monday," I said. Preston Vale left his own wedding reception at 10 that night. Not because it was over, because he couldn't think clearly inside it anymore. He sat in his home office, deal trophies on the shelf, real estate portfolios framed on the walls, and had his assistant pull everything publicly available on Harper Dynamics. It took 12 minutes. By 10:40 he knew. He knew about the acquisition, the valuation, the government contracts, the international expansion, the logistics AI platform that had quietly outpaced 3 competitors while making no public noise about it whatsoever. He knew that the man who had sat at table 11 near the kitchen had been doing this in complete silence for 4 years. He thought about the way I had said, "Have your people call mine Monday." Not as a challenge, not even as a display, just as a fact, the most expensive kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't know it's performing. He thought about Marilar, the way she'd gone pale at the fountain, the way she'd looked at me for 1/2 second too long, the way a woman looks at something she told herself was finished and is only now understanding what finished actually cost her. Preston Vale made his living reading rooms. He sat back in his chair. "Damn," he said to no one. She called Wednesday, from the landline, which told me everything. Marilar kept landlines for conversations she didn't want in her call history. I picked up on the second ring. "Hardson." "Marilar." A pause. "The boys looked incredible." "They always do." "That's your doing." I didn't argue. I waited. "I sent that note in the invitation," she said. "The one that was unkind." "Yes." A breath. "I want to explain." Marilar. "Easy, not cold, not performed warm, just present. You don't have to explain it, I understand it." Long silence. "Are you happy?" she asked, and it was so stripped of strategy, so plainly what she actually needed to know, that it stopped me for a moment. "Yes," I said, "I am." 6 seconds of silence. "Good," she said. "That's—" She stopped. "Good." She hung up. I held the phone for a moment, then set it down and looked at the painting above the credenza. The geometric architecture piece, black and white, clean, strong lines. Behind it, in its frame, behind glass, was a letter Marilar had written me 3 years into our marriage. She'd left it on my keyboard at 1 in the morning while I was sick with a fever and still working. "I believe in you. I know this will work. Don't stop. I never moved it. Never will." I walked into the Harper Dynamics conference room at 9 Monday morning. Preston's representatives were already there, 2 attorneys and a property broker, professional, polished, prepared, the full armor of people who expect to negotiate from strength. Aldwin sat at my right, Della at my left, tablet open. "Mr. Vale has authorized us to discuss terms on Thornfield, contingent on a preliminary valuation review." "I've already done the valuation," I said. His lead attorney paused. I slid a folder across the table. "Air rights. Rezoning opportunity on the eastern parcel. The wedding venue is underperforming by 60% relative to the asset's commercial ceiling. Your client is sentimental about the property, which is why he hasn't looked at it clearly. We have." She opened the folder. Read. Said nothing for a long moment. "Mr. Vale will want to—" "He has until Friday," I said. After Friday, we moved to our secondary property. I stood, buttoned my jacket. In the hallway, Aldwin fell into step beside me. You know what's wild? You were going to offer on Thornfield 6 months ago, before any of this. Yeah. She didn't create the opportunity. She just handed you a reason to walk through the door. I thought about 11 words on cream paper. Witness what a real life looks like. Some people, I said, do you the biggest favors thinking they're doing you harm. My phone buzzed. Read. Dad, can we come to the office Saturday? I typed back. Wouldn't have it any other way. The Rolls was downstairs, waiting. I walked toward it like I owned the building, because in 60 days, I would.